Hello everybody and welcome back to the new video. There have been some very interesting events today, and with the election just around the corner, we'll leave it to Anchor Brain to bring you latest.
Starting with Trump's safe states, we have Montana, Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, Nebraska at large, along with its 1st and 3rd districts, Missouri, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, and Alaska. Trump starts the race with a strong foundation of 87 electoral votes. Moving to Kamala Harris's safe states, we can count on California, Connecticut, Illinois, Hawaii, Maryland, Massachusetts, Vermont, D.C., Delaware, Maine's 1st district, Maine at large, and New York. With these solid states filled in, Harris leads with 45 electoral votes compared to the former president's 87. Now we'll move on to the likely states. These are states that will go to either Trump or Harris by margins between 7 and 15 percentage points and don't seem likely to flip by November. Starting with Trump's likely category, we have Ohio, which continues to be a stronghold for him. The most recent poll from The Hill, conducted among 945 registered voters, gives Trump a 10-point lead over Harris. While this is a slight drop from the previous 12-point advantage, it remains consistent with Ohio's recent voting history, where Trump won by 8.1 points in both the 2016 and 2020 elections. Despite its past as a swing state, Ohio has trended more reliably Republican in recent elections, largely due to its rural and working-class voters. Trump's 10-point lead solidifies Ohio's status as a key likely state for him in this election cycle. Moving to Iowa, where the latest signal poll of 600 likely voters gives Trump a solid 12-point lead over Harris. This is in line with his previous performance in the state, where he won by 9.4 points against Hillary Clinton in 2016 and by 8.2 points against Joe Biden in 2020. Iowa has shifted from being a competitive battleground state to a more reliably Republican one in recent elections, largely driven by its rural conservative voter base and a strong alignment with Trump's populist messaging. The 12-point lead further cements Iowa as a Republican stronghold, making it unlikely to flip for the Democrats this cycle. South Carolina continues to be a likely state for Trump, maintaining its long-standing position as a Republican stronghold. According to a recent Emerson College poll, Trump holds a comfortable 14-point lead over Harris. This margin mirrors the results from previous elections, where Trump won South Carolina by 14.3 points in 2016 and 11.7 points in 2020. South Carolina's political landscape has remained largely stable, with strong Republican support driven by conservative rural areas and evangelical voters. Despite the absence of head-to-head polling between Trump and Harris specifically, the historical data suggests that South Carolina will remain firmly in the Republican column this election cycle. Mississippi continues to lean toward the former president, staying within the likely category despite being a traditionally deep red state. The most recent polling shows Trump with a 9-point advantage over Harris. This margin, while solid, is narrower than in previous elections, reflecting some erosion in the Republican base. Historically, Mississippi has been a Republican stronghold, with Trump winning the state by 16.5 points in 2020. Moving to the blue side, starting with Washington, which has been a Democratic stronghold since 2008, consistently voting blue in presidential elections. Harris currently leads Trump by 14 points, according to a public policy polling survey sponsored by the Northwest Progressive Institute. This solid Democratic advantage reflects Washington's political landscape, which has shifted decisively to the left in recent decades, especially in the urban centers of Seattle and surrounding King County. The state's strong base of progressive voters, combined with its increasing focus on climate change and tech-driven policies, has made it a key part of the Democratic electoral foundation. With such a wide margin, Washington is expected to remain comfortably in Harris's column, continuing the state's trend as a reliable blue state. Moving on to a state that Harris has managed to move up from the leaning category, New Hampshire shows a very interesting scenario. In 2016, Clinton managed to edge Trump out, winning by a slim margin of 0.37 points. Biden then managed to expand the gap for the Democrats in 2020 to 7.4 points. However, when looking at the 2024 polls, the gap significantly decreased when Biden was still the presumptive nominee. From the moment Kamala entered the federal race, she has set her sights on beating Trump by an even larger margin. According to the latest poll by the St. Anselm College Survey Center, Harris currently holds a 7-point lead. Nebraska's 2nd District has shifted noticeably in favor of Harris, now categorized as a likely state for the Democratic nominee. According to the latest poll by the Remington Research Group, conducted among 656 likely voters, Harris holds an 8-point lead in this competitive district. This area has been a battleground in recent elections. Biden carried it by 6.6 points in 2020, marking a significant shift toward the Democrats, especially given that it had not gone blue since 2008. If Harris can maintain or expand her lead, it would represent a crucial gain for the Democrats in an otherwise reliably red state. Rhode Island remains in the likely category for the Democrats. Though there haven't been any new polls featuring Harris specifically, we are currently relying on the most recent polling data with Biden as the Democratic candidate, which shows a 7-point lead. This places Rhode Island on the edge of the likely category. Historically, the state has been a Democratic stronghold, consistently voting blue in every presidential election since 1988. Despite the lack of direct polling data for Harris, Democrats are not overly concerned. Harris is gaining significant traction across various voter demographics, especially in urban and suburban areas, where issues like healthcare, climate change, and economic equity resonate. On the other hand, Trump remains highly competitive, particularly in polls conducted by Mlin and Associates, where he leads by 1 to 2 points in several instances. His messaging on law and order, border security, and economic recovery continues to resonate with rural and conservative voters. The variation in polling results across different samples highlights the close nature of the race, with several polls resulting in exact ties. If we analyze the trend line of these national polls, we can see that Harris has been continuously leading the race. From July 25th to 29th, the margin was small, around 0.2% to 0.4%. However, from July 30th onward, Harris steadily increased her lead. On August 23rd, she reached a peak margin of 3.7 percentage points, and since then, she has maintained a lead of more than 3 points. One of the most interesting aspects of the data is the influence of large sample sizes, such as in the Morning Consult poll, which surveyed over 11,000 likely voters. Harris's 3-point lead in this poll suggests broad support, while the repeated ties in other polls reflect the polarized nature of the electorate.
Overall, these poll results show that while Harris currently holds a slightly edge in the national polling average, the race remains highly fluid. Both candidates will need to focus on key swing states and democratically solidify their position in the final moments of the campaign. While these national polls give us a broad overview, it is the battleground states like Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin that will truly determine the outcome. If these trends hold in the swing states, Harris might have an edge, but Trump's resilience in certain regions could be still flipped to the narrative in the final days. Recent economic reports and international developments seem to be playing a significant role in the shaping voter preferences. Harris' focus on the healthcare, on the social justice, continues to resonate, especially in the wake of recent policy debates. While Trump's base remains cease-fast, particularly on issues of national security and economic stability. As we move closer election day, all eyes will be on the upcoming debates and major campaign events. This could significantly impact the polls, especially if either candidate manages to gain a decisive advantage. Harris' team is likely to focus on amplifying her policy success, while Trump will aim to energize his base with strong performance. These debates are not just about policy, but also about optics and momentum. Looking ahead, if these polling trends continue, Harris could be on a solid path to securing the presidency. However, any significant shift in the key swing states or among critical voter demographics could still change the trajectory of the race. But campaigns will need to adapt swiftly to any changes in voter sentiment to stay competitive. Voter turnout will be critical in determining the final outcome of the national election. Harris' success hinges on high turnout among younger voters, minorities, and women, while Trump focused on maximizing turnout in rural areas and among older voters. Additionally, key issues such as economic recovery, healthcare, and immigration will likely play a decisive role in shaping voter preference in the election final stretch. These poll numbers could shift with the election still a few months away. The race remains extremely close, and both candidates must continue to campaign aggressively to secure the necessary support to win the White House. Now, watch any of these videos and to get latest poll result of another state. Who do you think will win this 2024 presidential election? Harris or Trump? Share your prediction in the comments below. And guys, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to get latest news. See you in next video. Thank you.